it's Big Man Willis.
And Howard.
If you're new here, hi, how are you? Welcome to our channel.
If you're not new, hi. Welcome back to our channel.
And today we're going to be reacting to scary animations. We're going to be looking down because that's where the screen is. And we put this blanket up because, you know, it's like we're at a sleepover. You didn't ask? Okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
Check me out. Wait, don't check out my merch.
The next story is based on a SpongeBob conspiracy that's been floating around the internet for quite some time now. Of course, we couldn't make a SpongeBob video without animating such a thing, as the legendary tale behind the secret formula of the Krabby Patty is portrayed as highly confidential in the show itself. The next story discloses this disturbing revelation, and may make SpongeBob fans never look at Krabby Patties the same way again. I've been hired as a full-time cook for well over a decade now. More specific, I work at a restaurant called the Krusty Krab. It's the local hotspot in Bikini Bottom where the masses come to eat. And on top of that, it's how I make a living. Frying Krabby Patties all day just to get paid less than minimum wage and satisfy my cheapskate boss, Mr. Krabs. But despite being the main chef in the kitchen, I still don't know what the hell's in the secret formula. I mean, I know every ingredient of a Krabby Patty. It's just there's something more to it that's been kept confidential and keeps the well-oiled machine of a business afloat. One day, I was doing the usual routine of cooking an order of Krabby Patties for some customers. I decided to peek through the kitchen window and holler at the other staff member who goes by the name Squidward. I get the usual reply of a hefty sigh as he said, "What is it, SpongeBob?"
Smash.
"Well, nothing really. I just thought we could have a little chat." "About what? Don't you have Krabby Patties to cook?" "Ever heard of multitasking? I can cook these patties while talking to you." "Leave me alone, SpongeBob, or I'll shove my nose up here." "No, wait, just hear me out. What do you know about Krabby Patties?" Squidward raised an eyebrow and said, "What do you mean, SpongeBob?" "Well,
eyebrow?
you know what I'm talking about. The secret formula." Squidward laughed and replied, "So what if I know the secret formula? I'm not sharing it with anyone." "You're bluffing. Nobody knows the secret formula except Mr. Krabs." "Oh yeah, SpongeBob? Then why are you asking me in the first place?" "I was just wondering if you know anything about the safe where Mr. Krab keeps... you know what." "And what exactly do I keep inside me safe, SpongeBob?" A voice so eerily familiar came from behind. "Mr. Krabs! Sponge me boy! Don't tell me you've been persuaded by our little competitor to do his dirty work." I gulped, anxiety filling my throat. "No, sir. My loyalty only belongs to you." His eyes seemed to penetrate my entire body. Then, moments later, he began showing off his claws. And with a smirk, he said, "We shall see about that. Now get back to work!" Squidward and I nodded as we returned to our tasks, wary of Mr. Krabs, who continued to glare at me for being nosy. After work, I was called to Mr. Krabs' office, anticipating the likelihood that I would get fired. And so, before turning the knob, I took a deep breath, hoping Mr. Krabs could forgive me. Then, when I opened the door, no one was there. Instead, all I saw was a Krabby Patty on his desk, which I approached reluctantly. As I reached out for the burger, I was startled by the sound of pincers. So glancing behind me,
A commercial. Really. A commercial. We'll never know what's gonna happen next. What's gonna happen next? I'm gonna pinch his cheeks.
glancing behind me, I saw Mr. Krab move his claws in a threatening gesture. "You seem a little jumpy there, lad. It's like you have something up your sleeves," he said as he scanned my every move. To let him know I wasn't guilty of anything, I made a futile attempt to laugh and pretend he was just teasing. However, Mr. Krabs remained straight-faced the entire time, so I pleaded for my position. "Mr. Krabs, I'm sorry for being so curious. It's not what you think. I never intended to steal and sell off your secret formula to anyone. It's just I've been working here for so long and I wanted to know what makes your burger so perfect. So, you want shit?" "Yes, sir, absolutely. That's all and nothing more. So, please don't fire me." I slouched as I begged for mercy. "Oh, trust me, SpongeBob. Getting fired would be the least of your worries," Mr. Krabs replied while picking up the burger from the table. "But I can't blame you for being enticed, so I'll let you off with a warning this time. But if you do it again, I may not be so generous, boy." I repeatedly nodded, grateful for the second chance he had given me. No problem, Mr. Krabs. I'll never speak of it again, here or anywhere else, I swear. You swear on your life, me lad? Yes, sir, I said confidently. Good. So we have a deal then. He replied in a voice so deep that it sounded like it had come from the underworld. As I went to work the following day, I caught a fish peeking from behind a rock, stealthily taking pictures of the Krusty Krab. Immediately, I advanced toward him and pinned him down, demanding an explanation. Hey, you!
Yeah.
If you're here on behalf of Plankton, I'm going... No, wait! You work there, don't you? You gotta get out of there as soon as you can! The deranged fish said. What? Why? I asked, still... This could be one of Plankton's schemes. Perhaps, if you ask his daughter, you would know. The fish replied, looking anxious. Then, in the blink of an eye, he sprinted away and never turned back. His words stuck in my head. So, with my curiosity incessantly growing, I felt the urge to speak with Mr. Krabs' daughter, who went by the name Pearl. I waited for my shift to end. Then, while Mr. Krabs was busy on the phone, I had a little chat with Pearl and asked, Hey, how you doing, Pearl?
I'm good, SpongeBob. Thanks for asking.
She replied as she batted her eyelashes. So I know it's strange to be asking you a personal question, but I was just wondering, how did you and Mr. Krabs first meet?
Oh, well, I just remember being very poor back then. But when Dad took me in, I began to live a life of abundance and comfort.
She said, a hint of gratitude in her voice. When Mr. Krabs wrapped up his call, I asked him something similar, to which he responded aggressively. Me lad, why the hell are you so interested in me personal life? Something smells fishy about you, boy. That's probably because I had a sleepover at Patrick's house. But anyway, I'm sorry, sir, I was just... SpongeBob, if you ask me one more question about me daughter, the secret formula, or anything that doesn't involve cooking Krabby Patties, you're dead. He ended our conversation and locked himself in the office. However, as I stood there, thinking of the fish who warned me earlier that day, I felt the need to uncover the truth. So the following night, as my shift finally ended, I inspected Mr. Krabs' office while he and his daughter were enjoying a meal in the restaurant's dining area. I sneaked in quietly when all of a sudden, I heard loud footsteps approaching the office. I concealed myself underneath the desk, wary of Mr. Krabs' humble. Then, when he finally left the office, I went across the room searching for clues. And then, I found bloody duffel bags in the closet. Unzipping them, I gasped at the sight of dismembered bodies. And it didn't take long for me to realize they were whales. That's when it made sense to me. The reason why Pearl didn't know what happened to her biological parents, and why the Krabby Patties tasted so good. Mr. Krabs had killed Pearl's parents, and used their remains as part of the Krabby Patties to feed the masses. I now know why they call it the secret formula, and how old Mr. Krabs is one sick bastard. Not only did he profit off the dead whales for his wealth, but he also adopted the daughter of the deceased. I guess that explains why he's a crab and she's a whale.
What's gonna happen to her next?
The next story is one of the most bizarre cases on the internet. A real-life SpongeBob nightmare that went down on September of 2021. The details are pretty disturbing, so we decided to change the narrative slightly and create an animation inspired by the event. For all the SpongeBob fans, sorry in advance. My mother and I shared many fond memories together. From time to time, we would watch Jimmy Neutron and the Fairly Odd Parents on Nickelodeon. However, after putting me to bed, I'd walk downstairs and sneak up behind her couch as she watched every known chick flick movie on Netflix. One day, the TV listings changed, and we started watching SpongeBob a lot more during the weekends, to which I laughed every now and then saying, "This is hilarious, isn't it, Mom?" I was often met by silent treatment and at other times, a faint chuckle. Then, gazing at her, I noticed how her eyes were always glued to the screen, enthralled by comical exchanges of sea creatures in casual human attires. And it only got weirder in the days that followed. What used to be a lot of rom-com turned into a late-night series of SpongeBob, where she often sat too close to the TV, eating popcorn like some kind of lunatic. Then, she'd laugh with exaggerated tones while scattering the popcorn and spilling the beer on the floor.
Really like SpongeBob.
On most days, she'd call in sick and stay home just to watch SpongeBob. So I would unplug the TV, and she would throw a tantrum before plugging it back in.
Don't you dare turn the TV off when it's time for SpongeBob. This is my house, you little brat.
She said, gritting her teeth. Hesitant, I told her, "Don't you have work tomorrow? It's time for bed." Her anger vanished abruptly as her head slowly turned to face me. The person in front of me was no longer the mother I'd always known. I couldn't pinpoint what it was, but something was off. And in the silence lingering between us, I stood still, immobilized by fear. Glaring at me with eyes I'd never seen before, she replied,
SpongeBob was right. You did sneak up behind me every night, didn't you?
Bewildered, I asked. What do you mean by that? She wasn't making any sense, and I was deeply disturbed by my mother's sudden transformation. Although it was true that I did sneak up behind her, I didn't understand how SpongeBob was a variable in the situation. Her expression changed in a second as she gazed upon the still image of SpongeBob on the screen, his eyes looking directly at her, and moments later, at me.
Yes, that's right, SpongeBob.
She said gradually with a smile as she sauntered toward me.
It's time to tuck you in, little man. And this time, I'll tuck you in really good.
I'd never felt more afraid in my entire life. So in a split second, I dashed toward the stairs, hearing her footsteps quickly catching up to me. We scurried all the way up, and when I finally reached my room, I slammed the door, crippled by sheer terror. However, seconds before closing it, I caught a glimpse of that menacing grin. And so not a moment sooner, she began banging on the door. Luckily, I secured the lock before hiding myself inside the closet, where I waited desperately for sunrise to come. Unfortunately, my head kept bobbing as I fought to stay awake. Then, when the banging eventually subsided, I finally passed out. That's when I began to see SpongeBob in my dreams. But this wasn't any ordinary SpongeBob. He looked crazed, demented, and he was stabbing Sandy Cheeks with a knife. As I got closer for a better look, I then realized that the person in the astronaut suit wasn't Sandy. It was me. "Are you ready, little man? I can't hear you. I know I am." Ah! He said in a high-pitched, layered voice that sent chills down my spine. I awoken from my haze, got out of the closet, and made a run for it down the stairs, hoping I could reach the door before my mother had the chance to stop me. Then, as I swung the door open, I was pleasantly surprised to see my aunt's face.
Long time no see. Look who's come to play.
She said as my cousin bolted in the house with his toys. And although I was thrilled to see them, a part of me wanted them to drive away. "Aunt Olivia, why are you here? You can't be here right now."
What are you saying? Your mom invited us here. Is something wrong?
My aunt's gaze was that of concern. However, I didn't know how to tell her, considering I couldn't believe it myself. "Well, you see, just when I was about to tell her what had happened last night, my mother ran to her and wrapped her arms in a welcoming hug."
I'm so glad you could make it.
My mother said with the sultry sound of her voice. At that moment, I began to doubt myself. I thought perhaps it had all just been a nightmare and nothing else. As the hours passed, nothing seemed to be out of the ordinary, and my anxiety slowly dissipated. Playing hide and seek with my cousin, I concealed myself in my mom's closet. As my mother entered the room, I saw her talking to a framed portrait of SpongeBob on the wall, caressing it as she said,
Tonight. Yes, dear. It'll happen tonight.
That's when it was confirmed that the incident that happened earlier wasn't a dream. My mom was more than likely a deranged psycho infatuated with some eerie SpongeBob fantasy. As soon as she left the room, I turned out the lights to the bedroom and called out to my cousin who was hiding under the bed. I told him everything and regretted it immediately afterwards. He ran to his mom crying a river of tears.
What's the matter?
Aunt Olivia asked, giving him a gentle pat on the back. My cousin pointed at me and said, "He told me that SpongeBob was evil and that we had to leave now."
Come on, honey. You don't get to see your cousins often, so don't be so rude.
My mother said without losing her composure. I didn't know what else to do, so I apologized and we went back to playing games. But as darkness filled the skies, we heard a loud thud emanating from the living room below us. "What the hell was that?" my cousin whispered. "I don't know, but I intend to find out. Follow me and stay quiet, all right?" I said, choking on my words as my heart throbbed. Scaling down the stairs, we could hear someone talking, and it sounded like my mother's voice.
Oh, SpongeBob, this would be perfect for dinner. I'm ready. 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 I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm
you're
ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. That is something.
Happy kids are successful kids.
That's enough. That's enough. That's
When you
enough.
choose
That's
a
enough.
tuition
That's enough.
free-
I'm ready.
Peeking behind the wall, I gagged at the sight of blood blanketing the floor. Then, catching my mother's attention.
Who's ready for some Krabby Patties?
Without a moment to waste, we scrammed, exiting through the front door until one of our neighbors noticed our cries for help and came to our aid. When the police arrived, they found on Olivia's dismembered body on the floor. My mother was then taken into custody as I was forced to live with my cousin and his father. To this day, I still see news articles using my mother's testimony in court which read, "SpongeBob made me do it." I severely regret that I ever watched an episode of SpongeBob with her.
There's no way that's real. Wait, is this true SpongeBob horror?
The next story was inspired by an episode of SpongeBob called The Secret Box. The basic premise of the story was Patrick hiding the secret contents of the secret box from SpongeBob. This, of course, drove SpongeBob into insanity. As they say, curiosity killed the cat. Later on, Patrick finally reveals nothing more than a piece of string in the box, prompting SpongeBob to leave with a peace of mind. The episode then concludes with Patrick pulling on the string to unveil a secret compartment of the box that contained an embarrassing photograph of SpongeBob from the previous year's Christmas party. The audience never gets to see the photo, which led to so many conspiracies online, but thankfully, you'll get to see it today.
It's been 10 long, agonizing years of constant stress ever since Patrick revealed that box to me. What the hell is that conehead of a friend hiding from me? It's gotta be more than just some cheap string. There's gotta be some kind of contraption hiding the real secret. I bet he put the whole thing together just to hide it from me. I can't stand that fat slob Patrick Star. I bet all of Bikini Bottom knows what's really inside. Squidward, Sandy, Mr. Krabs, I know they're all part of it. I don't give a rat's ass if that means putting my friendships, my job, my everything on the line. I can't take it anymore. Gary? No. We're good pals, right, Gary? You'd tell me what was in Patrick's secret box if you knew, right? No. Don't lie to me, you flippin' vermin. No. Don't talk back to me either. Do you know why I haven't cooked and eaten you up yet? No. Because I like fast food. I didn't want to do it, but I had no other choice. I had to make an example of Gary. I walked down to the kitchen and found the finest, sharpest knife in my collection. Then returned to the bedroom to do the deed. You know, for all the times I thought about doing it, finally taking care of that freeloading slug was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Liars are so delicious. I picked up the rest of Gary's cuttings and sat down in front of the TV for some Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. His shell made a nice bowl. But even with all that seafood in my belly, I wasn't able to sleep all night. A few hours later, it was time to go to work. But it wasn't just because I hadn't slept a wink that I knew the day would be unlike any other. I was finally a changed man, no longer some silly boy that could be lied to willy-nilly. I found my usual place in the Krusty Krab behind the grill and started flipping the first patties of the day, but my heart just wasn't into it. I was so tired from all the action the night before, and the same questions were burning inside me more than ever before. Hey, Squidward. Hello, Mr. Brown Polo Shirt. What is it, SpongeBob? Do you know what's in Patrick's secret box? No. Now leave me alone or I'm calling the cops. I bet your ex took advantage of that nose, sausage face. I guess you could say we had a change of recipe to the day's batch of Krabby Patties. Squidward's nosy face was stuck inside some boring magazine when I reached up behind him and yanked him through the window. I pressed his face right up against the hot grill so nobody would hear him scream, and then I got busy with the prep work. Boy, Squidward, I never knew you could make so much food. I'm surprised you went down so easy in battle. You were definitely well armed. I had myself a little chef's taste test, and since we're all being honest, I have to say that his tentacle tenders were exquisite. But just then, I heard a door fly open, and the little skittering pitter-patter of Mr. Krabs making an inspection of the restaurant.
Where are all me customers? Is this some kind of holiday or something? Wait a minute, who turned the open sign around? And where the heck is Squidward?
Finally, he burst into the kitchen, and just by the look on his face, I could tell that he was about to try and blame me for everything.
SpongeBob, what in Davy Jones' locker is going on here? Me boy, what have you done?
Don't play dumb with me, you crustaceous cheapskate. I know you know. So I'm gonna ask once. What's in Patrick's secret box?
Well, you see, the thing about that is,
Mr. Krabs was so old and wasted that he couldn't even react in time when I grabbed his freakish eyes and ripped them right off his head. That ended his rotten life immediately, and there was nothing left in him to struggle against me as I cracked open his shell and grinded him up into some grade A Krabby Patties. Now that I've started uncovering the truth, I can't rest until every last dastardly deceiver gets what's coming to them. And the best part is, all of those liars are gonna taste delicious. There's only one left. I used to call him my friend, but then he thought he could keep a secret from me. Now that I've taken away everyone he could ever keep a secret with, he'll have no choice but to tell me. I waited until the middle of the night to sneak in under his rock. He's stronger than I am, so I had to get the jump on him. Strength doesn't matter when you wake up with a knife to your throat. Wakey, wakey, juicy fruit gum.
SpongeBob, what's going on?
Where's the box, Patrick?
You mean this one?
Yes, that one! Now tell me what's inside of it, or I'll cut you up into so many pieces that it'll never grow back.
But SpongeBob, you already know what's inside. Look, it's just my special string, I swear.
I reached into the box and pulled the string at long last, and of course, the false bottom came right up, revealing what he'd been using against me all these years. A photo from so many Christmases ago that I barely even remember it. The first night that I lost the battle against my insatiable lust for blood. Now, if my good friend had just been honest with me and destroyed that photo when I asked him to, none of this would have had to happen. Unfortunately, he chose the hard way.
I'm sorry, SpongeBob. I was just worried that you would get mad.
You're the biggest liar of them all, Pat. And for that, you'll be even more delicious.
2,000 years later.
Why doesn't anyone want to try my Krabby Patties? It's the best in all of Bikini Bottom.
I'll pass.
What is it, SpongeBob?
Well,
Maybe it's too hot. Oh.
Oh. No. Huh. Well, thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining our sleepover.
Thank you for being traumatized with us.
I suggest to watch a funny little video after this.
Yes, definitely.
Sorry
if you were like about to go to bed and you were like, I should watch a video, and you found
Yeah,
this
you
one.
thought you were gonna like sleep with this one.
What's your funniest video ever?
Or just, you know, a video that you like, a YouTube. You want to
Your
send
favorite video?
what? Oh,
Want
you
us
want
to
us to
leave?
stop?
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Bye.
Bye.